Guys, listen, man. Listen, Tom Arnold here. And now it's time for my favorite podcast, Milkshake.
Milkshake. Milkshake. Milkshake.
Listen, man, let me tell you something. Tom Arnold here. And now it's time for my favorite podcast. And believe me, I listen to a lot of podcasts. Milkshake, starring Randy Rayes and Jeff Rimmer. Take it away, boys.
Milkshake.
So it's Milkshake.
Milkshake, we're back. Sadly,
Weird.
yeah, we don't have the sunshine of Miami anymore. We're back in our studio in North Carolina, so it was a good week down there, but we're back.
Yeah,
better than ever.
People showed up. It was weird. I still believe to this day that they had no idea who we were and they thought we were somebody.
Exactly. With the ESPN banners and so forth, I'm sure we fooled a few folks, but we are nobody. We are Milkshake, and we're back at it. We're looking at new topics again, staying around the marketing and advertising field, and
Yeah.
we're ready to go with our number 3 episode, or
Yeah.
our third episode.
Third
yeah.
episode. And let's give it up for Tom for the intro. Tom Arnold for the intro, man.
I think he's our biggest fan.
Yeah. He reached out to us and was like, hey, guys, I really got to be a part of Milkshake. So
It's awesome.
you are.
I actually am friends with him on Facebook, as are you. So
Yeah.
it was nice that he found our podcast, listened to it, commented, and now we've got one super fan and 3 others.
yeah, who doesn't love Tom Arnold?
So we're almost up to 5 followers at this point.
Woo! Give it up. Let's get some bell action for that. All right, so here we are this
Yep.
week. This week and next week, I believe, our topic is going to be kind of hovering around the music industry and music in itself and the importance of music and marketing and advertising and whatnot. And we thought it'd be fun this week if we dive into jingles. I mean, everybody loves jingles. They
Yeah.
get stuck in your head. There's been good ones. There's been really bad ones. Maybe one episode we should do all the bad ones, like
we
rank
could,
the worst
because
ones.
there are some bad ones out there.
Yeah.
But, you know, a jingle is a powerful message for your brand, and if you do it right, it's going to resonate, it's going to drive more business, and people are going to be singing it all the time. So, you know, as I started looking at these jingles, I based it off of a couple different things, right? There's some new jingles that are out today that are catchy, but one of my criteria for picking my top 5 was longevity, right? Have they endured the test of time?
Sure.
So that was one of the things I looked at. Obviously, being original somewhat, so you don't want to just take a song that the Stones recorded and revamp that. So come up with a jingle that's kind of cool. And, you know, have they basically had any effect on culture, media, and language?
Right.
And I think some of these have that I've picked, probably a little bit different than your list, but
No,
yeah.
and some of my reasoning for the ones that I picked, one was did it get stuck in my head?
Yep.
Like that's one thing I looked at. Is it something I keep singing? And if I see that product and immediately think of that jingle.
Yep.
And another one is more on the culture and the impact that jingle had on the brand and culture as a whole, and how it helped them actually improve sales, but also if there was some kind of cultural expansion from that where people tie it back to that to that jingle itself, which I'm almost giving one away. So that's why I'm kind of talking weird, because I was about to say what my number 1 was, which is really on that. So we'll wait.
Uh-oh.
I'll talk more on that. So if you want to start that,
yeah, you know, and I
you
have
have
a
some
few.
honorable mentions.
It's funny. Well, I do, but I'm actually going to combine them with others.
Okay.
So I've got 5 listed here, which I think are all pretty well known for the test of time, if you will. And I think they've all become synonymous with the brand, and they're not a song that's been redone. So, for example, I think it was Chevy who did Like a Rock, a Bob Seger song. That's not really a jingle to me, right? They're just taking and repurposing a song. Now,
Right.
hopefully you haven't picked any like that, because I feel like I'm slamming you if you are, but I
We'll
did
find
not.
out.
So I went with the original jingle, so to speak. And at number 5, this goes back to 1970, but it's one of those ones that's been out there, and I think people still know it. It's Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. So at number 5 off my list is that. And listen, most folks, at least my age, maybe even down to your generation, know that song.
Yeah, well, Rice-A-Roni, it's funny. I have that on my list, and it ended up being an honorable mention, and it was going to be in my top 5 because that jingle gets stuck in my head all the time. And whenever you see Rice-A-Roni, you automatically say San Francisco treat.
That's it.
And well, for each of these, actually, we should stop and actually play it, so so that the listeners can actually hear what it is to remind them. So we should be able to play this again here. Yeah. So let's start this first one.
Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat.
That's exactly how I remember it.
And that's what I sing when I go to the grocery store and see Rice-A-Roni. That's exactly what I sing still today, and that's been out there since 1970. So
that's crazy. So that stood the
years.
test of time.
Yep.
Okay, so honorable mentions for me. I'll get on and then I'll jump into my 5. Some new ones like I love that chicken from Popeyes. Like I just love that chicken from Popeyes. It gets stuck in my head. The Chili's baby back ribs.
Baby back, yeah.
And then Zatarain's, right? So Zatarain's, it's not even like a jingle. They did full-fledged songs for theirs, and it's rice, I guess, just the New Orleans style rice. But for whatever reason, my wife Megan and I, whenever we're in a store and we see Zatarain's, we both are like, Zatarain's! Like, you just have to say it like the guy did. So it's not even really a jingle, so that's why it didn't make the top 5, but I still say it like the
And I like that brand because my last name is in it.
That's true.
Yep, it is spelled Rains at the end. Yes, so I'm part of the brand.
Wow.
There you go.
This was all because of you.
Right. So what's your number 5?
Man? All right, so number 5, I'll say it, we'll play it real quick, and then we'll kind of chat about it. But it's Red Robin Yum.
Red Robin Yum.
And so as you can hear, it's super simple.
Yes.
Like it's straight to the point. It's descriptive of what you're about to eat. It's descriptive of everything it is. And literally, like, they've taken it and ran with it on everything. Like, it says yum all over in the restaurants. Like, everything has come with it. Like, Red Robin Yum. Like, it's stuck in your head
And
every
you say
single time.
it when, in fact, I think you and I went to a Red Robin a few months ago, and I can tell you walking in there, I was singing that in my simple little pea brain.
Yeah.
So,
I like this. It's simple, straight to the point. Probably the shortest one that I've seen out there, or at least on my list here. So,
yeah, I don't think I have any shorter ones, but that is a good one.
Yeah.
So we're on to number 4 here, and my number 4, I think this is from the 80s, maybe 90s. Klondike bar. What would you do for a Klondike bar? Now, it's taken on a lot of different meanings, a lot of parodies off that song and so forth, but I think that's that one. Listen to it real quick.
What would you do for a Klondike bar?
Yeah, I mean,
what would you do? And, you know, I know amongst friends we say different things,
Yeah.
But the commercials are pretty straightforward, and it does stick in your head. And like I said, when I'm in the grocery store, walk by Klondike, I sing it.
no, I agree. It was actually on my larger list as well. I remember that one. And what would you do?
I can't carry a tune, so I'm not going to try to sing
Well, I
it.
can't either, but I still
for a
try.
Klondike bar.
So, all right. So, yeah, I like that one. It's funny because so far we're into food. Like, really, like, everything's been food related up to this point that we're talking about. So, I'm sticking with that theme. And number 4 is the Almond Joy Mounds.
I actually had that as an honorable mention, but I got rid of my honorable mentions because you'll see what I'm doing later.
Sure.
Yeah.
And, you know, we'll play it real quick.
Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
So sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. And it was great because it helped differentiate the difference between Almond Joy and Mounds, so that you understood, like, what am I? Because both of them were chocolate and coconut, and you were like, well, what's the difference between the two? And then the commercial, I remember one of the commercials where it was showing people backwards on a horse. And that was the Almond Joy, sometimes you feel like a nut.
Yep.
And then it would say, sometimes you don't, and the people were riding the horse regular. And that was the whole commercial part of it. So because they're pretty much the same thing.
It is just a nut.
Do you want a nut or do you not? And it was a perfect way for them to advertise both into one thing. And it still sticks to this day. I mean, you think about it when you see an Almond Joy or Mound, you say that in your head every single time you get it.
But I still choose Reese's.
Yeah. Pieces or
No,
cups?
I like the Reese Cups, man.
Yeah.
And
it's funny. I actually in the 90s, I saw a band and I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was Creed. And it's embarrassing to even say that out loud that I saw a band.
You sure
Creed.
it wasn't Nickelback? Come on.
Not
That's
quite.
up, man. It was Nickelback, wasn't
No,
it?
that's your booze, man. That's not mine. That's your people. It was Creed, I believe, and they actually they did their own rendition of the Almond Joy Mound song and played it for like 2 minutes during the concert. It was kind of funny. It really was.
That would be.
Yeah.
I think that was Nickelback.
Yeah, it was.
All right, so number 3. I'm going to step outside of food right now. My number 3 is actually a beverage. It's Coca-Cola. So there's actually 2. So I've got 2, and this is where I eliminated my honorable mentions because I just took Coke as one. And they've had 2. They've had a ton.
Right.
But 2 that really stick out. It's the real thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I'd like to teach the world to sing. And that goes way back to the early 70s, but it stuck around for so long that those two, take a listen to them real quick.
It's a real thing. Coke is, that's the way it should be. Coca-Cola, what the world wants to see. Oh, yeah, it's a real thing. Coca-Cola.
I'd like to teach the world to sing in perfect harmony.
Yeah, and it's a real thing. It may not resonate as much with you as it does with me, but both of those were really popular in the 70s and 80s. So that is my number 3, 2 of them, Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and we're still on that food beverage kind of thing.
Yeah. I'm going to get off that here in a minute.
I don't think I do. And if you look at me, if anyone could see me, you'll see why.
Well, you know
stick
what?
with food. So
I only go outside of it for one.
Yeah. But they're really great at it. I mean, the marketing and the agencies that work with food, I mean, the advertisers, they're just really good at their job, apparently. Number 3 for me is Kit Kat. And
break me off.
And the give me a break. Give me a break, man. Like that. Let's just hear it real quick. I'm sure everybody knows it.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar. Give me a break.
But yeah, like so that came out in the mid 80s. And what it did was really showcase like that crunchiness, that snap of a Kit Kat to really separate it from your typical traditional chocolate bars. And why is Kit Kat so different? Why do I want this? And I love Kit Kats. Like they're probably my favorite of all things. And because of that crunch, I like that crunch. I want, and I know Nestle has crunch,
but it doesn't snap like that.
No, and it doesn't taste like it either. It's garbage.
Yeah.
So I think that was a good thing. I know like Sean Colvin and Carrie Underwood, they did their own versions of it for the campaign as well and sang songs. And that's one of those, it's only been 35 years. It still has stood the test of time and they still use that in their ads as they go through. So number 3.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Now, this one, I'm going to step outside of, it kind of includes a little. So my number 2 is not just one jingle, it's one person. And I have to admit this, and somewhat embarrassingly, I know all of his jingles. I am a Barry Manilow fan.
Okay.
And Barry started his career with jingles. He
didn't know that.
Yeah, he made a ton of them. In fact, on one of his live albums, he actually plays all the jingles as like a medley, if you will. But the 3 that he has that were really big that I'm sure you'll remember, the first one, Like a Good Neighbor, State Farm is There. All right, and that's one. The second one he wrote for McDonald's, so kind of back into the food. It was called You Deserve a Break Today. So we'll play that real quick. And then the other one that he had that was probably his biggest one, whether you remembered or not, was I Am Stuck on Band-Aids, because Band-Aids stuck on me, right? So Barry Manilow was the king of jingles. That's where he made all his money. And those are my number 2. So it really goes to a person, Barry Manilow.
Interesting. Yeah, I like that. That's a interesting way to do it. I had no idea that's how he got to start.
That's where he made his money before. Could It Be Magic was his first hit. Not that I know.
Sure. What a way to like jump in because I feel like things were a little more exciting on Madison Avenue back then. I mean, everybody's seen Mad Men and you kind of get that vibe from it, but is it still that way in the agency world? I mean, are they still like coming up with and reaching out and contracting Barry Manilow's and people like this to really?
I don't think so.
It just doesn't seem that way. It seems watered down.
It does.
Yeah, it's not as. I don't know.
It's not as creative.
Yeah.
Honestly, the creativity that drove me to follow up and get into the career of advertising and marketing was being creative. Sadly, it's come down to like a programmatic space where you can go in and just pick the advertising you want. No one's really coming up with the creative messages like they used to. It's not as dynamic. So it is changing and evolving, and good or bad, it's just different.
Well, it's the perfect segue for my number 2. Because this is a newer one. And so most all the other ones I have are older ones or, at least 15, 20, 30 years old or whatever and have stood the test of time. This one's new. This one's probably about 4 or 5 years old now. And it's Arby's. We have the meats.
Arby's. We have the meats.
And I love it for so many reasons. Like I want it to be number 1, but number 1 needs to be where it is. For
no
me.
wonder we're all overweight. Really, come on.
And if you learn about it, so Arby's was struggling with millennials. And so they were, I think, the second oldest as far as their target audience fast food chain that was out there. So I don't know what number one was, but I'm sure it was like a Roy Rogers or something. But then there was Arby's.
Yeah.
And they were like, no, we want more millennials. Like, that's what we're trying to, these are the people that are on the go, they're on the fly, they're going to pop in and see and buy this food or whatever. How do we do this? So Ving Rhames from Pulp Fiction and Mission Impossible and all that is the voice for it. The Arby's, we have the meats. And the song, which is pretty interesting, it's a EDM DJ named Yogi. And it's actually a guy I know, Pusha T, who's a rapper, who is on that track with him as well. And so the song is a real song that they use just a little sample from it. That's a EDM dance song or whatever. Yeah. And so since they've released this, since it's been, and everybody knows it now, and now I think they've added and sandwiches or, you know, whatever at the end to it, they've seen a huge uptick on millennials visiting their restaurant again. And so it worked for the purposes that they wanted. And honestly, Arby's has become more relevant, and it's, you know, just a newer, fresher brand again.
Agree. Sadly, the Arby's in Roswell, Georgia, just shut down last month.
Wow, I haven't seen an Arby's shut down.
It shut down in Roswell, Georgia. So
That's
if
sad.
you're craving it in Roswell, you are out of luck unless you want to drive somewhere else. But yeah, no more roast beef or
Yeah, I enjoy a good
sandwiches.
beef and cheddar.
Yep.
I enjoy the meats. I do.
And that golden cheddar cheese they just poured on top.
And some Arby's sauce on it, and a little horsey sauce.
I feel like I'm losing weight already.
Just talking about it. So number two, a new one, Arby's.
All right, and I'm going to go back to food for my number one. So this is I don't know if you have the same one or not, but it's basically two ads by the same company by Oscar Mayer. The first one is My Bologna Has a First Name. You know, so that was it. And then also, I Wish I Were an Oscar Mayer Wiener Song. So go ahead and play those, and you'll see why they become so addictive.
My bologna has a first name. It's O-S-C-A-R. My bologna has a second name. It's M-A-Y-E-R.
Oh, I'd love to be an Oscar Mayer wiener. That is what I truly like.
So yeah, I think that's where I actually learned to spell bologna. True, you know, you would think bologna would end in a Y.
Oh yeah, it's such
you know,
an
when you're a
awful
kid.
spelling.
And that actually came out in the '60s, so I wasn't even born when that one came out. Yet I know it very well. The other one came out also 1965. I Wish I Were an Oscar Mayer Wiener, and funny, engaging. And I've just remembered it now for, 55 years. So it's been around for a long time, and maybe your generation knows it, but mine definitely does.
Definitely know it. And I mean, they still use it to this day. Like, I see it in ads all the time. I used to eat bologna a lot as a kid. I feel like people say that. 'Cause I don't meet a lot of adults that say that you eat it as an adult.
Not as an adult. I would fry it up. You know.
It's weird. It's like, I don't know if because you ate so much as a kid, you decide as an adult you're going to choose not to. But bologna was cheap, so that's why I remember eating it as a kid. It was a cheap alternative to like ham and all the other things I really wanted. But fried bologna sandwiches are good. And actually, I know a guy who has a restaurant down in New Orleans, and he got his claim to fame. I think it was the second best restaurant in the country 2 years ago or whatever he had. It's called Turkey and the Wolf. And he got his claim to fame because he makes fried bologna sandwiches like 80s style. Puts Duke's mayo on it, and then puts chips on top of it and just smushes it down. And he serves it in like old lunch boxes, like from the 80s and things like that, or trays like that. Yeah. That whole nostalgia side of it. But
and they still have the Wienermobile, right?
Yeah, they do.
They actually hire drivers every year to
Oh, yeah,
take
you
that
see
thing
it
cross
around.
country. Yeah.
People
so
still go take pictures with it.
They take their marketing and branding very seriously, and it lasts a lifetime.
Well, speaking about wieners, yesterday
Again.
Yesterday, this could go a lot of different ways when you start a conversation speaking about wieners. But speaking about wieners, yesterday I did a Instagram story about boiled hot dogs, and I've been talking about boiled hot dogs for a couple weeks, and I still don't understand why it's lost. You know, like, people don't boil them anymore.
You know why? I'll tell you why. Because I was a boiler myself. I love
Used to
hot
be a
dogs.
boiler.
I used to be a boiler.
Yeah.
Microwave, 30 seconds, you're done.
True. It's easier.
And it's easier, less time commitment, and you eat a hot dog so quickly anyway. It's, you know.
I buy that
but
answer.
It is the best part of the rat. It is.
I agree. I agree. It is. I buy that. But boiled hot dog and in the water afterwards, like, there's such just a distinctive smell to that.
and some fat floating around.
Yeah,
kinda like,
and you just use it again, drop more hot dogs in
But
it.
yeah, that's why I switched. Now my wife hates hot dogs. If she eats one, it has to be grilled. It has to be charbroiled in some
all
sense.
beef.
Yeah.
And
So me, I don't care.
You
Just
know
do it.
Anthony that we work with. Anthony. Yeah. So he was telling a story. I brought up this boiled hot dogs thing last week because I'm really stuck on it. And he brought up this story that was the most anticlimactic story I've ever heard. So when you see him again, make sure you bring it up. He said, out of nowhere to a group of people in a room, he's like, yeah, me and my sister, we used to get 2 hot dogs and we put a slice of cheese on it and we put it in the microwave for 9 seconds.
9? That doesn't even melt the cheese.
But that was the end of his, like, he set it up like it was going to be this great concoction of a hot dog. Literally, you put 2 hot dogs on a plate and put cheese on it. There's nothing like brand new about this.
I can tell you, this is my recipe for a great hot dog, and one of my children actually do it the same way. She's learned well, so little shout out to Mary. But 20 seconds, okay, on a modern day microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Then you put the hot dog in the bun and nuke that for another 7-8 seconds so the bun becomes really soft. The hot dog is plenty warm and hot.
Yeah.
And now you've got this really soft bun as well. So within 30 seconds, you've got a gourmet hot dog.
And I bet you could, that's a good plan. I bet you could slip cheese in there about 15 seconds.
Oh,
and drop
absolutely.
it in,
Yeah.
pull it out, put it in real quick, and be perfectly melted.
Yep.
Better than Anthony's story.
Yeah, I need to do my own cookbook.
Yeah, you should. The poor man's way. I like it. All right, so I guess I should get to my number one.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
Since we've been talking about wieners for a while. This one is, to me, an iconic one for so many reasons, and I'll break those down for you, but it's McDonald's I'm Lovin' It. So the interesting thing, there's so much behind this one. Justin Timberlake sings the I'm Lovin' It. Yeah. It was written by Pusha T, who I just mentioned on the Arby's one. And it was produced by Pharrell and Chad Neptunes as well. But it actually was a song first, not like the way that you said about the Chevy thing.
Right.
Specifically, it was made for McDonald's, but they released it on Justin Timberlake's album first. And then a couple months later, it was almost like they reverse engineered it to make it this ad now that became I'm Lovin' It. And it's been the longest campaign for McDonald's, period. I think it was 13 or 14 years that they kept it.
Okay.
Super influential to the younger generation. That's what they wanted. To the hip-hop generation, that's what they wanted as well. They were trying to reach more of an urban core. So they used this and it was successful for them. And it just was fresh. It was just different. I mean, it was using music in a different way than just a jingle. It was actually using a song and a mega artist at that time.
JT.
Yeah, to grow that. And a lot of people still don't even know that's him singing that.
I did not know it was a part of a song.
Yeah, he has a
honestly.
full song for it, which I could play, but I don't want to bore everybody with it.
I'd rather hear him sing Bring It Down to Omeleteville.
Yeah.
Bring it on down. Yeah, go ahead and play the I'm Lovin' It.
I'm loving it.
Yeah, and so I love it. I'm loving it. That's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I did have McDonald's in that mix somewhere. I think Manilow had one of the McDonald's.
Of course
so
he did.
McDonald's has obviously
He's no JT, though.
No, he's no JT. He's better.
I give you that. I do.
Well, if you have to look at top 40 hits, yes. But, it's almost embarrassing to say I was a Barry Manilow fan. But, long live Barry.
No, that's nothing embarrassing about Barry Manilow by any means. Earlier, you were talking to me about Wham a lot, and I was questioning that a little bit. But,
Careless Whisper, baby.
But then you
Careless
got
Whisper.
me on it.
Yep.
Let's play that real quick. Now that is stuck in your head over all of these jingles. That will be with you the rest of the day.
That sax in Careless
Oh,
Whisper
yeah.
and just the song and the lyrics. Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it's.
So make fun of Wham all you want, but I will stand by Careless Whisper.
I give you that. So we did it. We did the top 5 jingles, at least in our mind, of all time. And I'm sure everybody has their own list and things. I'm sure we missed a bunch, and people are probably yelling them out right now wherever they're listening to this. And there's tons. I mean, jingles, I think, are a staple in branding. Period. I mean, are the exactly, and it's a thing. I really do feel like it's lost. Arby's, I'm super proud of them for bringing this new approach and trying something different and new and don't get me wrong, companies are trying it all the time, but like we talked about that Madison Avenue 60s era, like even through the 80s, like really were just the pinnacle of this.
And I do think every one of the jingles we went over today are synonymous with those brands, and that's what makes them unique, and they're timeless, quite honestly. So,
Zatarans.
Yeah. Just keep that. That'll keep going for 50 years, and if it does, it'll be
Yeah,
a classic.
It's truly genius. Like, I don't think people, like, we should talk for a second about, I don't think people really appreciate the importance of marketing and advertising and creative marketing, because we're so used to it, and we're so used to people just pushing things down our throats all the time. But there is a room of people and individuals who come together and come up with these things out of nowhere, and then it becomes a staple for time ending. You know, with the Oscar Mayer one you mentioned, and some of the other ones like that. I know Huggies. I can't even think of that one. That one is.
I'm
right
a
now.
big boy now, right?
Yeah,
the pull-ups.
I can.
That was on my honorable mention, but I got rid of all my.
I'm a big kid now.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. You know what? Depends. Should do the same thing.
They should.
I'm an old man now.
They should use the same kid
exactly
that used to do that one and see where he is now.
Right. I mean, Sprint redid the guy from AT&T. Why can't Depends redo the guy from
To me, that was a
Pampers
little weird. Because, like, first, who was that guy to begin with?
Don't
Like,
know.
Can you hear me now, guy? Like, that's what you're known for forever. And then he comes to Sprint, and he's super low key now.
Yep.
Like, he's just like, hey, I was the AT&T guy or the Verizon guy.
Yeah.
I was the Verizon guy, and now I'm at Sprint, so you should be too. Well, that doesn't really do it for me. Jared at Subway, where are you spending your time now?
He's still buying kids' meals. All right, man. I think we've had enough of jingles today. We're going to get ourselves into trouble.
Too many
real
wiener
soon.
talk today.
Exactly.
Too much.
Well, man, it's been great. I love to hear some feedback on our jingles and get your take. But, man, it is important for these big companies to have jingles and market themselves properly. So hats off to all the winners today. And
I'd say it's sad, though, that there's no Milkshake company out there that has created a really good jingle.
That's up to us.
It's time for us to do it. Maybe we would love for people to send us their ideas of it. Let's start a whole jingle campaign, like just a competition for it.
Even if we could just get 2.
Yeah. Both of you listening, both of our wives who are listening and are just cringing by it now.
I am confident my buddy Paul in Atlanta will do one.
Okay.
He is very creative. He's into the production work and so forth. He may come up with something for us.
If we can get enough, we'll do a full episode playing them and then have people vote after the fact, and we'll pick the winner, and that'll be our new jingle coming in.
And what do we give him, like a $5 Starbucks card?
Or how about we do a special day where we drink a milkshake with them, and we'll just do a Facebook Live video of it.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Or we invite them in. I don't care. Let's do this, though. I like this competition.
All right, let's do it.
Let's make it happen. All right, so it's been Milkshake. Tom Arnold here with us earlier today.
Thank you, Tom.
Yes. And we talked about some jingles and stuff, so we'll see you next week and all that good stuff.